And hello everyone, welcome back to another video. This is more Slay the Spire. Merry Christmas. And this is going to detail my successful attempt to beat Ascension 20 with the Watcher, getting a heart kill. I'll try and explain things as we go. There will be some things that I might not actually get to explain, but for one thing, we start with the path. I actually start with the Neo's Lament whale bonus here, because I saw that we could actually try and get at least one HP elite. There's actually potential for 2, I think, but I ultimately decided that the 1 would be the best. So there's nothing really to say about these first few combats. An early flurry of blows here. Take the curse here just to get some more money in. Pentagraph heals us before boss fights, which is really useful. Means we don't have to rest, and we can focus on upgrading or recalling. Skipping these, you may find that skipping cards as Watcher is pretty common. Eruption upgrade is a must. And Gremlin Ob would actually be pretty scary with it at 1 HP elite, so we take it. Atavor is very nice. We spend a lot of turns setting up our infinite train when we actually can get that online. But for the most part, I actually think I made a bit of a mistake though. I think I should have played Flurry on the one that wasn't guarding, but in the end it didn't really matter. We did pick up a wheel kick. It's going to help us get some big damage in. Conclude also played a massive part. Yeah, we take the kind of low. Didn't really use it or anything, but it's fine. We have another Gremlin Knob here. I tend to use a lot of potions. And you can certainly do that. Perfect lethal there. Peace Pipe is essential. There's the rushdown. And we just remove the curse from the deck when we fight sentries. This is actually a bit of a fight. That might be the first actual use of the blue candle that you'll ever see, which is pretty funny to me. Popping Dex Pot here so we can block fully. I decided to go for damage instead of blocking again, just so that we could get lethal on a more favourable turn. Decided to target the back one and the middle one. Take 20 here, it's fine. Oh, only take 6 because we blocked for 7 twice. And then we're back into Cam. Usually this fight would be pretty tough for me with sentries, but yeah, that was easy. The Bag of Marbles really good. I decided to go with Scroll over Talk to the Hand. Scroll just accelerates what our deck wants to be able to do, which is go infinite. And I take the Mental Fortress there, and the Abacus, and I also take Academy with the Defend, and I think we're pretty much ready to go. Upgrading Rushdown? Yes, upgrading Rushdown. Wow, 5 minutes in, and we're fighting Guardian. So the trick with Guardian is to just block consistently and deal damage to get him to to shift forms. On Ascension 20 you'll take 4 chip damage every time you try and attack him in this state, so the best thing you can do is just defend for 2 turns while he attacks. Debating whether to do damage. I think I just play the defend though. No need to take any damage. I always play the flurry first. taking chip damage is fine if it guarantees that you're going to get more damage in later on. The best block cards are always going to be every card. Every card is a block card because it'll do something that means that you take less damage. Which is a strange concept to get your head around when you're constantly staring down huge amounts of damage in your face all the time, but it's just the benefits of playing Watcher then, I guess. So a big draw of Watcher as a character is her ability to enter different stances. So what you're seeing now is a very slow form of stance dancing, which basically means I'm entering cam so that when I leave cam I gain 2 extra energy, and then because I have Rushdown in play, I'm drawing 2 cards when I enter Wrath, and I'm gaining the 2 energy. This is the core principle of the Infinite, and it's a main draw of why it's so successful. The ability to draw cards and do all that kind of thing. Yeah, Vault, click it, it says Vault, and Pyramid, and we basically win now. Because we have Pyramid and we have Vault, so yeah. Although you could probably take Violet Lotus, but I think the consistency of Runic Pyramid is probably vital so that we don't brick our turns, which can happen. It has happened to me before in similar runs with Watcher against the Heart and the Act 4 Elite. Decided to go play Distilled Chaos here. So all of our cards are basically drawn now, which is really funny. We're not quite infinite. The addition of the Peace Pipe means that we can yeah, we're looking for very specific cards here. I decided to go with the Mutagen instead of Transform, just so that we don't wind up with useless cards. So, Peace Pipe, what does it do? It basically means that we can remove cards at rest sites, so they become increasingly valuable as the run goes on, because as we progress further and further, we want to be able to slim our deck down so that it's doing the thing that it wants to be able to do faster and faster, which is to go infinite. There's a few easy ways to go infinite with the Watcher. The main way is to swap between Wrath and Vigilance repeatedly over and over again, because you're generating energy and you're using the energy you just generated to go into the thing that makes you generate more energy. Basically red, blue, red, blue, red, blue, right? But just because you can go and play infinite cards, it doesn't mean you're going to be doing much of anything significant if you're not generating infinite block and you're not generating infinite energy. The way we do this is, what you're noticing now is that I'm lacking a cost-effective cam source, right? I'm spending 2 energy to go into cam, but I'm only playing with 3 energy. Scroll is repeatedly broken, by the way, so yeah. So I'm spending 2 energy to enter cam, to then spend 1 of that energy to go back into Wrath to gain the extra 2 energy back. So I'm entering Wrath technically for free, but not really. We want to be able to enter Wrath either for free, or we want to be able to enter cam for free. And the Violet Lotus would have made it so that we could just be infinite straight away, right? Because we spend more energy than we need to. This fight is actually really scary, especially if your deck isn't quite ready to do the things that I'm trying to do right now. Because Mental Fortress is arguably the best block card that Watcher has in our entire deck, and Rushdown is arguably the best power that the Watcher has in her entire deck. The ability to draw 2 cards for absolutely 0 cost when you upgrade it. All you have to do is enter Wrath. Is pretty strong. The only thing that I would think would make this deck slightly more efficient, I think, is more removals, a couple more removals, Tantrum, getting Tantrum, which is a card that it's a multi-hit attack that puts you into Wrath, and then instead of going into the discard pile, it goes into the draw pile, so you can redraw it again. That would make the Infinite much more faster, I think, but we didn't find it on this run. But we got creative with Fear No Evil, so that's basically the result. Marbank, I'd take the Establishment here over a second Mental Fortress, because I do kind of bank on the idea that we'll get a Meditator at some point, and we do find one really late on, but it helps in making cards 0 cost, and even with Pyramid it just makes it better, right? I think if any cards that would have ended your turn in Pyramid, when you had the Runic Pyramid, which retains your entire hand, you know, an Establishment affected those cards, then the game would be pretty busted. But I'm glad that it doesn't. It just keeps your hand. Anyway, this fight is pretty much done. Act 2 is generally, quote unquote, considered the hardest act in the entire game, and I think a lot of these decisions that you're going to be making in Slay Spire, and a lot of choices that you're going to be faced with, the answer is pretty much, it depends. It's all relative. This act would be hard, but then you look at the relic bar and it's not so hard. You look at the card picks and it's not so hard. And you look at the character I'm playing. Tori is huge. Tori essentially gives us a free turn 2 against the heart, essentially. We don't die, which is pretty good. None of these are worth considering over card remove. I do take the Bag of Prep though. Bag of Prep with Watcher is seriously broken, considering Potion, but not really. We also got the Preserved Insect, which means that we have to not deal with so much, you know, with elites that have high HP, and we can just focus on fighting them properly. It's only occurring to me now that probably a Vigilance upgrade would have been a lot better. Probably would have saved a good amount of HP in this fight. Well, not in this fight in general, but like just from the act of upgrading Vigilance, I would save small amounts of HP over the course of a run, which, you know, in the end it didn't really matter, because obviously we still won. So also we do have Abacus, which would have been our block solution regardless of whether we have found a Mental Fortress or not, because Abacus gives us 6 block whenever we shuffle our draw pile, and I don't know if you've noticed, but we're doing that pretty frequently. Our deck would have skyrocketed in terms of the ability to do what it does faster with Sundial as well, but we can't have them both, so that's fine. Watcher isn't the only character capable of infinites. There's plenty of other infinites that you could do. There's the Fear No Evil, and a few removables here and there, and we're pretty much infinite, which is good to see. Deciding on upgrades here, I'd actually just go with Liquid Memories here, just in case I do accidentally brick turns, but I don't think I do. I don't think it's even possible to brick turns with Runic Pyramid anywhere, so I think I just wasted 86 gold for nothing. But that's okay. Once we get online, in terms of getting this deck set up, we are pretty much where we go now. So, with the addition of Fear No Evil, which enters camp for us whenever an enemy is attacking, we basically are infinite. We're not infinite against the heart yet, but we are infinite. So, this boss, I think it. So the two minions that it summons, they actually steal your cards, and you don't get them back until you defeat them. So you got to kill the minions fast. And the boss itself, he doesn't attack turn 1. Turn 2 he does a double attack, and then he buffs himself. He does another double attack, buffs himself again, and then he does the big attack. But we've pretty much won the fight now anyway, so it's literally fine. And that's GG. Ancient Pot is really nice, and none of these are what we want, so we skip. And I just take Busted Crown because we don't need any more cards now. Velvet Choker is literally unacceptable here. Calling Bell, you could take, but there's not really much you can do. I guess the Calling Bell wouldn't really affect the Infinite that much, because you can just use Blue Candle to get rid of it. But Busted Crown is literally free energy at this point, because we are literally infinite. So, Act 3. Spikers are probably which is the enemy on the left here. It's probably the Watcher's most dangerous elite fight. It's probably the Watcher's dangerous Act 3 fight. If Time Eater is not a guaranteed fight. Purely for the fact because he has a passive Thorns ability which damages us when we attack it. So, yeah. But as long as you have an infinite block engine, which is what we've got, you're relatively okay, I think. I mean, Watcher has ways to deal with that. You know, you can use pressure points, which, you know, it's a skill and it's not an attack, so it doesn't really affect. You don't really suffer any damage. Also, I think Tori just helps, I guess. Fairy in a Bottle is really better here. I took it just in case. I decided to use the upgrade here on the vault, and then I went with this way. So a lot of the so now that our deck is kind of online at this moment, the strategy now becomes all the important powers get played. So you know. The Rushdown gets played, the Mental Fortress gets played, the Establishment gets played, and Scroll gets played if we need to. If you know we need to look for Eruption or we need to look for whatever, we just play Vault. So we're actually fighting Donudeka, which is a 2 enemy boss fight. So one gives block, the other gives scaling damage, and we basically have to not die, essentially. But this is Ascension 20. Ascension 20 means that we have to fight as another boss. It's a double boss. So after we've beaten Donudeka, we have to fight another boss. We got lucky and we got the Awakened one, which I think if we'd have had Time Eater, we probably would have lost. Because you'll notice I'm playing pretty quickly. This is not the quickest I've played a run of Slay Spire, by the way. This is just but it's certainly not on the slow side. I wanted to speed up this fight, so I just popped the artifact charge so that we could get extra strength against these guys. Even though we've played Vault, the vulnerable effect still exists, which is funny. It just makes this fight go a lot quicker. We get Giryu. We want to go this way because we have to fight the Burning Elite. So if you want to get to Act 4, you need 3 keys, so you need to give up a relic in a midway chest to get that blue key, you need to recall at Campfire in order to get the red key, and you need to defeat a Super Elite in order to get the green key. This fight is pretty annoying. It has the malleable buff, which means that it'll change its intent when it's attacking, and it also gain armor. We all picked up the Meditate Plus, by the way. There's not really much to say on this fight, I guess. It's going to take a while. So there's, I think, in terms of Watcher gameplay, there's really only 4 distinct ways that I've seen been played, right? Well, 5 really. But so there's this one that you're seeing now, this Rushdown Infinite with Vigilance and Eruption and whatever. Then you have Scry, which you're not seeing in this run, but essentially you get to look at X number of cards in your draw pile and discard the ones that you don't want. It's the top X number. So cards that let you do this. Third Eye is a defensive card, block for 7, Scry 3. Then it upgrades to block for 9, Scry 5. Then Cut Through Fate, you basically deal 9 damage, Scry 2, draw 1. Then which upgrades to... No, it's damage for 7, Scry 2, draw 1. Then it upgrades to Scry 9. Damage for 9, Scry 3, draw 1. That's one of them. Then there's also interactions that happen within those mechanics. So the stats changing between Vigilance and Eruption, that they added Flurry of Blows, which when you use it and it goes in your discard pile and you enter a new stance, it'll come back into your hand and it'll keep doing that. And that's one way you can rack up damage. Weave is a similar deal, but it works for Scry instead. So you play the Weave, you Scry cards, and then the Weave comes back, and then you can do it again. There's tons of ways you can play these characters differently. This is just one of the easiest ways to do it. It's the most accessible way to do it. I mean, there's a reason that, that Mel got like 38 wins in a row. Majority of the wins came from this Infinite. The other one is Divinity. So you have 4 different stances. As the Watcher, you have Calm, you have Wrath, you have Divinity, and then you have the neutral stance, which is empty, which is the empty stance, I guess. So it's when you leave the stance, it takes you out of Wrath, it takes you out of whatever stance you're in. That's empty. But those are the 4 stances. There are 3 ways to enter divinity. Through Ambrosia, which is a Watcher exclusive potion. Through the card Blasphemy, which we saw in a shop earlier, which says to enter a divinity but you die next turn. And then the other one is just to build it up through mantra, so cards like Prostrate and Pray and Worship. They'll help you get into Wrath, Divinity even. And there's attacks that scale off of Divinity, and there's like that scale off of Mantra, like Brilliance and stuff like that. More spikers. This axe is pretty much done now. The deck is still slightly slow, so we should. So at this point, I start focusing on removals. I start trying to think about. Sorry, putting in some work there. I start trying to think about more removals. Is there anything else that this deck needs? That kind of thing. Ultimately, I think this run was really successful. It's not as... I didn't think it would be as successful as it did, but I'm pretty happy with the result. I am working on the other characters, so, you know. I probably won't get a run like this done with the other characters for, like, you know, Ironclad or a Silent Defect yet, because I'm still learning those characters. But soon, maybe. This fight is relatively easy, just, you know, deal enough damage to all of them, and then kill them all with Conclude. That's literally it. It's actually funny. I don't think I had lethal though, so I wanted to make sure that I did. There we go. None of these are really good cards, so we skip. Didn't see the transient in this fight, in this run, which is actually a surprising thing, but I'm glad I didn't, because that would have just been a really annoying fight. So interesting thing about this fight is that the middle one can't actually do a multi-attack, which is pretty funny. So you just attack the outer ones instead. Do I lift here, or do I actually just... I think I remove a card? Or do I lift? No, I lift, yeah. I think you could have done either or though, it doesn't really matter. This fight is pretty much done dusted, like... We have bottled Rushdown, we have, you know, consistent turn ones. I think I get a turn 1 lethal on Decker here, which is really, really funny. Yep. The nice thing about this run is that a lot of these fights have just become really trivialized and easy, so I can't really explain the mechanics behind them, and I really want to do that, but it is what it is at this point, right? The main drawback with with the Fear No Evil Infinite is that it depends on the enemy attacking, which is not ideal. I think finding an inner piece would have been okay, I guess. But I think it ultimately it wouldn't have really mattered, to be honest. The fight's won now, which is all that matters. We have 299 gold going into the shop, which is really good. So this is what I was talking about. So the Awakened one has the buff Curiosity, which means that every time we play a power, he's gonna gain some strength. But also, we don't really care because, you know, we're infinite already, so it doesn't really matter. But the good thing about this is that the Awakened one always attacks turn 1, so their Fear No Evil Infinite is free. I'm pretty sure we also did come across like a fasting at some point. I wonder how viable that would have been if I had pellets. We'll never know. So now in his second phase, the Awakened one's attacks change just a bit. They get a lot harder to, you know, be hit with now, but this is fine. Not really scared of this. Quick check just to make sure that we're on pace, and we are on pace. This is what watching gameplay ultimately boils down to. I've seen runs been won with like Divinity and Sneko Eye, but this is just the most consistent way to win. The only other thing that's missing from this is pure water, is holy water, the relic holy water, and the teardrop locket, but other than that it's pretty fine. So that's Act 3 done. Now we have decisions to make in Act 4. We're upgrading Scroll here at this campfire, and then we'll see what we do at the shop. Second rushdown would have been funny, but I ultimately decided on against it. Removed wheel kick because we do not need it anymore. And I went into the elite fight. The elite fight is very interesting. So Spire Shield, Spire Spear. You have a pincer debuff on you, so whichever way your back's facing you, we're going to receive 50% more damage from that side. We're lucky that the Spire Shield wasn't attacking that turn, because if he had been, then, you know, it would have been very bad. The strategy applies even though we have 2 burns in the deck currently. It's relatively simple. Fear no evil eruption on the Spire Spear, and then Fear no evil eruption on Spire Shield. I think I'm kind of disappointed with the relic bear. More relics would have been really cool, but ultimately they just weren't needed. Oh look, the boot. We do have a block potion, which is actually really surprising, but I'll take it. Because you'll notice we're not actually blocking for a lot, right? So we pop the... so, this fight is going to take a long time, so I can actually explain some mechanics to this fight. Whoopee! The Corrupt Heart has something called the Beat of Death, which whenever you play a card, you'll take 1 damage. Or 2 damage, Ascension 20. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that he can't die from the start, from turn 1, because he has this thing where he takes a set amount of damage, and then any damage after that is negated. The third thing is that he attacks in cycles, so he does 5 different things. He debuffs you, then he does the multi-attack, and then from there he alternates between buff, big attack, multi-attack, and he does that repeatedly. There are cards that you can get that give like bosses with multi-attacks and stuff like that temporary strength down, like a piercing whale or a dark shackles, or you can give them permanent strength down with like a disarm or, you know, a malaise. That would work fine on dudes like Time Eater and Awaken One and stuff like that. But the heart is different. It actually doesn't cleanse debuffs. It cleanses negative strength and then flips it. So if you lower its strength permanently by 2, it's going to cleanse that debuff, give itself 1 strength, and then add on additional strength based on the amount of times you've strengthened him down, which is very dangerous, right? So we don't want to do that. So what do? Well, this is why going infinite is such a strong win condition for the Watcher. We can generate infinite energy, infinite block. We don't have to worry about blocking. We don't have to worry about taking damage because Mental Fortress is in play, Rushdown's in play. What's going to happen now is we're going to go infinite on every single turn, and the heart is not going to be able to do anything about it. We'll take some damage for the multi-attack, but that's literally it. We're not going to take any more. And we won't even take that much damage, right? Because we have Tori. Tori says to reduce damage of reduce damage taken from attacks that hit for 5 or fewer, reduce it to 1. So this multi-attack that's coming up, and it is coming up, is going to deal, instead of dealing 3 times 15 damage, it's going to deal 1 times 15 damage, which is a heck of a lot less. I do decide to block here and then meditate. So that the vigilance cost is reduced. So the best way to go energy positive with the Watcher is with meditate, because meditate will allow us to reduce the cost of cards eventually to 0. And in a situation where such that we're making cards, we're trying to, you know, generate infinite energy, this is the result. Now, because Fear No Evil is now 0 cost and Eruption is only 1 cost, we can play Fear No Evil and Eruption over and over again for only 1 energy, and we're gaining 2 every time. In a minute I'm going to be trying to get the deck in a situation where Vigilance is in the discard pile and I can just play Meditate, and then that'll give, and then we meditate. Trying to manipulate the deck in such a way that we can do it. And now we meditate. So now Vigilance is 0 cost. Fear No Evil is 0 cost. So now we're still using 1 energy, but we're gaining 2 more. This is the essence of infinites, right? This is literally how infinites happen. But why is this possible? Well, here's the thing. The game is trying to draw cards from the draw pile, but it can only do that if there are cards in the discard pile, right? So we have Rushdown active in play, which says when you enter Wrath, draw 2 cards. Vigilance, Eruption, there are only 2 cards that get put into the discard pile. Rushdown draws 2 cards when we enter Wrath. So we play the Eruption, but the game looks in the draw pile to see if there's any more cards and goes, hang on a minute, what's happening here? There are no cards here. So it goes to the discard pile and checks, and drags them out of the discard pile, puts them back into the draw pile to draw them again. And that's essentially what it is. But it can only do that if the if your deck is a small size enough such that you can, that when you've drawn all your cards, you have no cards in either pile. And you can have decks that are small enough where relics like Abacus and Sundial, they actually trigger twice, because it's shuffling the discard pile and it's shuffling the draw pile and discard piles twice, which procs the Abacus, procs the Sundial twice in one play of Vigilance and Eruption. And when those are 0 cost, then, you know, we just blocked a shit ton of damage, and we've only taken like 15 this entire fight. That's insane. The Watcher is completely broken on lower tension. But that by no means makes her easy to play, because you still got to learn the different synergies and the combos and what cards to pick. And the funny thing is, we only use like 1 or 2 rare cards in the entire Watcher card pool, because her rare cards are that terrible. The only rare cards that really matter are Scroll and Vault, and that's literally it. And we're gonna finish this off with a conclude, by the way. And done. GG. And that was a Ascension 20 heart kill with the Watcher. It's the first time I've ever done that. I'm very happy with that. Very happy with how it turned out. If you would like to see more content like this, then I would really appreciate a subscription to the channel. Follow me on X at Slime Riley. Subscribe to this channel and follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv twitch.tv/the Slime Riley. Not Slime. Yeah. Twitch.tv/Slime Riley. Follow me on Twitch. I'll leave links to the socials in the video description whenever this goes live. Yeah, that was really fun. Hopefully, I was entertaining enough that you you learned something. Learning is fun. I don't really have anything else to add to this. We did the thing. The thing is done. Woohoo! We did the thing. Yay. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. I probably won't upload another video now until after Christmas. There might be something in January. I don't know. So we'll see. Yeah. See ya.